So we've all been there, climbing Hyrule Castle, getting hit by laser after laser, and still getting up. We may have had a hole punched through our body, but Zombie Link is coming for Ganon's blood no matter how many times he's put down. So instead of Calamity Ganon trying to take down this insane hero, what if Ganon actually fled the final fight? I mean, I'd totally nope the heck out of there if I saw Link flying across the countryside on a log. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the weird experience I had where Calamity Ganon actually left the final fight by climbing up the wall and just leaving me down the pit. I hope you enjoy my strange tale, and if you do, consider subscribing. I hear if you do, Breath of the Wild 2 might drop a wee bit sooner. So just like any normal venture into Hyrule, I found myself on the cusp of being vaporized by lasers as I made my way up and around. Normally you make your way through the castle and enter an area called the Sanctum. If you didn't defeat the Blight Ganons, well, now you have to battle them all in a row. And once you do, Calamity Ganon awakens, starts destroying stuff, and you fall into a pit while all your buddies start charging up their lasers, assuming you awaken the 4 Divine Beasts. Okay, so that's the normal flow of events. Now let's talk about how I broke this sequence. So instead of going for the Sanctum, I actually climbed to the tippy top of the castle to enjoy the view. I was messing around with the game and trying to bust it by placing enemies and bosses where they shouldn't be. And I didn't think anything of it when I wandered into the Sanctum ready to fight. But what happened next was really strange. I didn't notice it at first, but my first hint that something was wrong should have come from Calamity Ganon's hair getting stuck and stretching into this long magenta blob as we fell down the hole. Only the combined powers of the Divine Beast was powerful enough to sever his hair. But as soon as that fixed itself, something else happened. I spawned down below but couldn't see Link at all. Ganon was reacting as if I was there, but I couldn't see myself. The camera was being really weird too as I tried to move around. It felt like I was constantly moving upwards slowly. It wasn't smooth either. The pacing of the camera was jittery. I started to dodge Ganon's attacks, or what I thought was dodging, but it felt like my character was walking on air and getting higher and higher. I was eventually looking down upon Ganon, and then I fell to the ground. I then got sucked to the wall, and Ganon retreated from me. The dude just straight up started walking up the wall and shooting lasers at me. That was when I noticed that when I dropped a bomb, it started climbing the wall. I could see the blue sphere from far away, but I had no idea how it got there. But then Ganon started shaking all weird, and he ended up going into the hole we fell down. The in-game camera wanted to follow him, but I couldn't control it well. I still didn't know where Link was either. I then fell to the ground again. Even though I was invisible, I could now move freely. And upon looking up the tunnel, I saw that Ganon had left the tunnel and was probably outside of Hyrule Castle. I could not see him at all. Not knowing what to do, I quit. And honestly, I didn't come back to this area for a while. For reference, the footage you saw was all filmed in December of 2020. And now we're back in June of 2021 because I figured out how to find Link. I wanted to know what happened to Calamity Ganon too. And now, I finally have answers. So when Link falls down the hole and disappears, he's actually still there. The camera just gets dislodged from his character. This happens because the bosses I was summoning above break the camera's tracking. The weird thing is, when I tried this for the second time, Link actually appears stuck to the ceiling while crouching. Calamity Ganon freaked out and started climbing the wall, and then when he got to Link, he started twitching and going up the giant tunnel. And so I followed him. And then he unloaded once he got to the top. So I'm not sure why Calamity Ganon can unload, but before I knew it, Link started getting sucked up the giant hole while the camera was getting worse and worse in terms of glitching out. But right before Link reached the top of the hole, Calamity Ganon respawned at the bottom. He was stuck in his idle animation and wasn't coming for me at all, and unfortunately because of the angle, I couldn't get an attack off on him. Before I knew it, I had reached the top of the hole, and wouldn't you know it, the trigger for the final fight cutscene was still there. Even though Calamity Ganon got blasted, Link traveled back in time, which is kind of appropriate given the outfit I was wearing. I was honestly thinking that 2 Calamity Ganons were going to spawn, since the game typically keeps track of enemy placements even during cutscenes. But when it was over, only 1 Ganon was present. The problem was that I was still up top though. I was at the top of the pit and my character was no longer moving up. I could see Ganon thrashing down below, but I couldn't do anything. So I dropped a bomb so I could see my character's position, and that's when I realized that Link was actually down below. My camera was stuck, and so was my character. And gravity just started slowly pulling everything up again. This time, my bomb just clipped through the wall though, and my camera was glitching out and shaking, making it very hard to look at the game. Calamity Ganon disappeared again, and I had nothing else I could do. For the last test, I wanted to see if I could push the enemies down the giant hole, so I filled the Sanctum with Guardians and had them shoot themselves into place. After the cutscene took place, I realized the hole wasn't actually a hole at all. It didn't need to be, because we'd never actually be freely playing above and have to fall down it. Guardians could walk over it and just float. What's interesting is, these enemies didn't fade away like Calamity Ganon did. I assumed this was because of distance at first, but since these guys didn't, perhaps it was some other kind of trigger. However, making Calamity Ganon leave the final fight because it couldn't find Link is something super funny, and I'll always think of it when fighting this boss now. If you enjoyed this bizarre look at Breath of the Wild, subscribe now, because you know I have more weird stuff coming. Thanks for watching, and cheers!